Will return for San Francisco. Taylor's the dangerous man of the two. He took 2 punts back for touchdowns during the regular season. And this Super Bowl 23 is underway. It's a short spinner to the 16-yard line, taken by Harry Sidney, and Sidney, an up back, has rolled out of bounds at the 27. And here comes the 49er offense led by Joe Montana, who was benched for a couple games during the course of the regular year. But what a Super Bowl player he's been. MVP both previous trips as he beat Cincinnati and Miami, and he was shooting 60% in both, and that's about his career average, over 63% completions. He loves to throw on first down. A reverse to Rice, and he's hit at the 32-yard line, a gain of about 5 or 6. Reggie Williams, the veteran linebacker, stayed at home for the tackle. So Bill Walsh, innovative, at times called a coaching genius, comes out with a reverse on first play.
Trying to take advantage of an overeager and very emotional team. The Bengals, tremendous emotion as they were introduced just before this game.
Roger Craig, a gain of only 1 as he swarmed the Bengal defense led by Jason Buck, number 99. Well, you saw the mentor. And here's one of his prized pupils, Sam Weich. Weich, 44 years of age, was asked by Bill Walsh to come out of retirement, coaching retirement. He was down in South Carolina running some sporting goods stores to be his assistant coach with San Francisco, and was on the sidelines when the 49ers beat Cincinnati some 6 years ago. Mike Wilson, number 85. In the game, 3 wide receivers on 3rd and 4. Craig with a fine catch and a first down at the 42-yard line. Barney Bussey, an extra defensive back, made the tackle, and there's an injury on the play. One of the big offensive linemen, Steve Wallace, number 74.
One of the things that this San Francisco offensive line did early in the year was to stabilize itself with this man, number 74, Steve Wallace. Without him on the backside, Montana was very, very nervous and tended to want to get out of that pocket. If he is unable to play, that's a costly blow.
You see why Craig led all NFL running backs in catches. What a fine reception. That ball floating high and away. He speared it during the season, caught 76 balls. Second was Keith Byers, the 320. First down play, and Montana goes down. David Fulcher, number 33, the Pro Bowl safety. Well, his name may be David, but he's played like Goliath.
One of the players we'll have our cameras on all afternoon. Fulcher, more of a linebacker masquerading as safety than true strong safety. Very quick as he explodes in there. No one even touched him. And of course, he's coming over the top of Bubba Paris. You see an injury, and they go right to that side of the field with the blitz.
Montana barely touched, but in order to elude a rough hit from Fulcher, he had to get down. The first sack of the game, and here comes Craig on a sweep. Great blocking, and out of bounds he goes at the 42. Reggie Williams made the tackle. The first report from the 49er sidelines, Steve Wallace, sprained ankle.
Dick, one of the things we're going to have to see from the Cincinnati front today is excellent tackling. They are not a big front seven, and their linebackers in particular have missed a lot of tackles during the season. They need to perform admirably above their norm if they're going to win here today.
6 defensive backs for Cincinnati on 3rd and 10. And a mix-up as Montana had trouble taking the snap from center. And Bill Walsh's team does not start well. And Leo Barker, 53, and Jesse Sapolo, 61. talking more than about their vacation plans.
At last play, Montana pulling out early from under the center, Randy Cross. Boy, they're lucky they got that football back.
Now the punt by Barry Helton, end over end and short. That ball almost touched Bengal in the back of the legs, and of course would have been live for San Francisco. Out of bounds at the 26. It'll be Cincinnati and Boomer Esiason starting from the 26-yard line. From the tight end in motion, Esiason to Eddie Brown. First down at the 43-yard line. 17 on the pickup. Esiason with talk of Cincinnati. Ickey Woods and his touchdown shuffle. James Brooks, he is one that the 49ers are concerned about. Tim McGee and Eddie Brown, the wide receivers, and Rodney Holman, a tight end. Big line: Munoz, Reimers, Kozerski, Montoya, and Blados. They average around 290. That's Brown in motion. And Ickey Woods' first carry. And Woods gains about 8 yards to midfield. Veteran Keena Turner, 58, made the tackle along with Ronnie Lott. There's Turner, who played at Purdue.
Quick look at Ickey Woods' first opportunity in the game. And he did here what he did so effectively in the 2 other playoff games. Picked up fine yardage on the cutback.
Look at 65, Montoya, that right guard. He's the one who throws the key block. And then Woods cuts in behind it. 2nd and 2. Brooks on a reverse. It doesn't fool Jeff Fuller. No gain. Fuller, the strong safety, number 49, a big play. Defensively, the 49ers joining Fuller. We'll give you that defensive lineup in just a moment. Now, one of the things that throws us off rhythm is that quick huddle of Cincinnati's, and that's why sometimes we may be a little slow in getting to a replay or giving you information, because we don't want to get trapped by that quick huddle, that attack huddle of Cincinnati. Here's the first example.
One of the things that we were going to be keeping an eye on today with Gordon Wells, the umpire, stand over that football and wait until substitutes were out on the field.
Brown again in motion on 3rd and 3. Woods plowing to a first down at the San Francisco 43. Charles Haley comes up pushing and shoving. Now the defense for the 49ers. Roberts, Michael Carter, Pro Bowler on the nose, Kevin Fagan. A linebacker, Charles Haley, he's going to the Pro Bowl. Fawnhorse, Michael Walter, the leading tackler, and veteran Keena Turner. Tim McKyer and Don Griffin, who held out at the start of the year. In fact, they were offered for trade by Walsh. They're joined by 2 great safeties, Ronnie Lott and Jeff Fuller. 2 tight ends for Cincinnati. First down at the 49er 44. Woods again, no, play action. And Boomer incomplete to Rodney Holman. Michael Walter was there, and Walter would have had him for a loss had he caught the ball. It was Haley applying the pressure on Esiason.
That particular play, extremely dangerous. It's called sellout play action. It looks exactly like a running play. Boomer, a good job of handling the ball. Only 1 receiver downfield.
You say sellout. In other words, you're saying all the other players are blocking as if that's really a run. There's nothing fake about that.
You're attacking the strength of the defense, their ability to react, and you show them run all the way, only 1 receiver out, and then you try and get deep. They've scored often on that play this year.
It was Eddie Brown deep, but he was covered by 2 men. 2nd down, Woods. And the rookie from University of Nevada, Las Vegas, each carry has handed a handsome result to the Bengals. He gets 5 on that one.
Here's the hurry up offense. They're right back to the line. Now let's see how long they'll hold. San Francisco not sending the subs onto the field. So Esiason will take his time here. And this is what the attack offense is designed to do. They're saying, we don't want you to get all your subs onto the field. San Francisco obliging in this case.
3rd down and 5. 45-second clock at 6. Incomplete. Tim McGee, the intended receiver. Jeff Fuller was there for San Francisco. And here comes the kicking team on for Cincinnati. And the punter, Lee Johnson.
McKyer up late to cover McGee. Ball in a hard position to catch, and McGee is lucky he didn't get hurt on that play.
So the line of scrimmage, the 39-yard line. So that would mean the field goal out in the 50. So Lee Johnson in the punt. John Taylor, dangerous return man, and Terry Greer, both with plenty of speed, are deep. Brady snap. You saw a good catch by Johnson. And down inside the 5. Ray Horton got the big bounce, and the 49ers will start from their 3-yard line. No score, 8:16 left in the first quarter.
6 yards by Lee Johnson.
Coming back.
Capricious winds here at Joe Robbie Stadium, and look at this snap go sailing, and Lee Johnson does a great job of catching the ball, and even better at placing it inside the 5, where Montana starts at the 3. No score, midway first quarter. Roger Craig out to the 11-yard line, and Tim Crumry slow getting up for Cincinnati, and he's not up yet. Oh, of all the players, Merlin Olsen, on defense that Cincinnati could not afford to lose. There it is, 69.
He does such a great job of protecting those linebackers and keeping those blockers off the linebackers. That kind of flow and that kind of aggressiveness up front. Maybe we can see what happens to him. 69, middle of your screen, working on Randy Cross. And of course, they got an extra blocker, Sapolo, 61 on him. It's at the end of the play. Hard to see what happened to him.
There's Craig, and you'll see Crumry come into the picture, and it's more like a whiplash kind of move, and it threw his leg onto the turf.
It's amazing how much energy is generated.
Injury so quickly. 2nd and 2, Montana at his 11. Right through where Crumry normally would be, and that'll be close to a first down as Reggie Williams applies the hit on Montana. David Grant, a rookie from West Virginia, number 98, has replaced Crumry.
Right in the center of your screen, and he is perhaps the strongest, in fact is the strongest of the defensive linemen. But what you lose in there is experience and pass rush ability, and of course the leadership that Tim Crumry provides to that defense.
Crumry getting a hand from the fans as he passes down at the far end of the field, going back to the locker room. And a man who is so incredibly competitive. It's a first down, San Francisco. They say get out of his way, just getting off the bus. What a, you work so hard to get here. This is the supreme moment, and now it's lost for him. Fractured left leg, tibia is the first report. That's the big bone of the lower leg is the report we get. Montana underneath. Tight end John Frank at the 21-yard line, a gain of about 8 yards.
We talked about keeping Montana out of rhythm. The Cincinnati defense were able to do that in the first series. You see what's happening now as Montana begins to get things flowing here. And of course, that will be easier with Crumry out of the lineup.
Well, they thought that Cross would need help from the guards to stop Crumry. Now Cross, the veteran center, playing his last game, may be able to handle the rookie. Jerry Rice, and a first down at the 33. Rice, what an incredible star he has become. In 4 years in college, he caught 51 touchdowns at Mississippi Valley State. You say, well, Mississippi Valley State, fine school, but small university program. But in 4 years in the NFL, Rice has caught 49 touchdowns. 100 touchdowns in 8 years. 4 in college, 4 in the NFL. Over the head of John Taylor, Lewis Phillips on the coverage, and a flag is down.
Harris Barton ended up without a helmet on that play, and a penalty will go against Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, roughing the passer, Montana. So instead of 2nd and 10, it's this.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, roughing the passer, number 98, blow to the head, first down.
David Grant, the man replacing Tim Crumry.
Throw the flag. Boy, you got no business taking the elbow to the head of the quarterback. You got to put the flag down on that one.
Oh, first down at the 48-yard line. Crumry lined up against Randy Cross. Here comes Roger Craig. Out of bounds at the 41-yard line. And let's see, now they say now he stepped out closer to the 43. That'll be just shy of a first down.
We talked about Tim Crumry playing sideline to sideline. Well, most nose tackles play in the phone booth, and Grant obviously about 4 steps short. I think Tim Crumry would have been out ahead of that block and would have been there and been a part of that tackle.
It's like a free down for Montana. He gives to Rathman, the big fullback, part of that Husker back attack. Jim Scow, who played at Nebraska with Rathman, made the tackle. He's number 70 for Cincinnati.
You've got to know which of those San Francisco backs you're tackling. Roger Craig, you want to tackle high because he'll kick those legs through otherwise. Rathman, you go high on him, he'll break your head off. You got to tackle him down low.
Oh, San Francisco starting from their 3-yard line now has a first down at the 40. Rathman, and this time David Grant, the nose tackle, fills in for Crumry, and Reggie Williams, the 13-year veteran from the Ivy League in Dartmouth, is there to help out.
Well, let's see how David Grant does. Just quickly pops around the backside. That's not the way you learn to play the game, but it's effective in this case because Randy Cross, I think, was set for somebody who would play like Crumry, which is playing across the head. Grant ran around the block and made the tackle.
That ball was floating in the air. John Taylor and Eric Thomas doing a dance downfield. Solomon Wilcox was there as well.
This is a touch pass. We talked about the effect of the wind on a Montana pass. This one looks like it needs to be fair caught. But it also appears that there may have been, well, when I first saw it, I thought there was a lot of bumping, but I don't see it in that replay.
And in fact, Eric Thomas almost had the ball land in his lap.
There's a hand on the shoulder. There was contact. There was contact in that replay.
Instant replay does not correct any penalty opportunity. Montana gets away to Rathman. And Rathman has a first down at the 23-yard line.
One of the things that has marked Joe Montana as a great quarterback is his ability to improvise, to make something out of nothing. Most quarterbacks would have been dead in that situation. He keeps his cool and stays in rhythm and gets the big play.
On 3rd and 10, Montana to Rathman, 17 yards. First down at the Bengal 24. 4 minutes left, first quarter, no score. Montana to Wilson at the 2-yard line. Mike Wilson from Washington State, number 85. That good play action and that slant in the seam by Wilson.
So very difficult when you can break away on that first move. The bump was not there. No chance for Billups. And of course the safety Wilcox is late as well.
Here's another angle. Was he in control?
We may see an official want to take a look at that one, and they're standing over it saying, wait a minute, wait just a minute.
He does not have control. See, the ball has not been cradled yet. No, that's an incomplete pass. And the replay officials.
Ball on the ground.
And meanwhile, as you're watching the replay, the players are looking at the big screen television in the stadium, looking at the same thing. They're saying, no, that's not a catch.
And both coaches as well looking up and doing some cheerleading.
Well, how would you call it if you were the replay official?
I don't think it was a catch.
I don't either. But we haven't always been right with that instant replay, have we?
Well, it's in the hands of the replay officials at this moment. Chuck Eberling,
former referee in the NFL. He's not locked in that position. That's just a freeze frame.
I think he's pretty busy right at this moment.
Well, that way you're not going to see it from that side because his body shields him. But I think we saw enough from the other angles that he never had control of the ball. Even his reaction indicated he didn't think he caught it.
Ball kind of bouncing off of him, and then remember the definition of a catch, both feet on the ground.
The covering official ruled the pass was complete down by contact. After further review by instant replay, it is determined that he never controlled the ball. We have an incomplete pass. Back.
You know what? I think we've got a whole audition system for the next round of NFL announcers, the way this instant replay and the referee's microphone is working out. Jerry Seaman with a complete call. So we play it over. 2nd and 10 at the 24. No score. 3:31 left, opening quarter. Over the middle, incomplete. Through the hands of Roger Craig. It'll be 3rd and 10. In case you're just joining us, 2 tragic pieces of news in this first quarter. 2 starting players lost with fractures. Steve Wallace, the starting left tackle for the 49ers, an ankle fracture, and Tim Crumry, the Pro Bowl nose tackle of Cincinnati, a broken leg. The last 3rd and 10, Montana converted to Rathman on a little ad-lib. That's Wilson in motion. Montana incomplete to Rice, and that will bring on Mike Kofer from North Carolina State. In his first year as the place kicker for San Francisco, he beat out the veteran Ray Wersching at the start of the year, and this first one will be around 41-42 yards. Kofer on the year made 27 of 38, his longest 52 yards. You see he's had very little opportunity in the playoffs. 2 games, only 1 try. And that was that placement on the fair catch of a punt. 60 yards. 42 yards. Down the middle, and San Francisco takes the early lead, 3-0. Officially 41 yards. And Sam Weiss on that instant replay call saved 4 points.
He's looking up at the monitor. Let's see what he says. What? What? Are you kidding me? The official on the spot said that the receiver was down by contact before the ball came loose. Instant replay said, in essence, no catch. There was no control. Therefore, the ball comes back.
That was a rather incredible drive of over 5 minutes. It started at the 49er 3-yard line, included the injury on the first play to Crumry, his loss to Cincinnati the rest of the day, then a instant replay reversal that denied Bill Walsh a 1st and goal at the 2, and finally settling for the 41-yard field goal by Kofor.
Special teams have a special wristband in this game, the Bruise Crew. Lynn Stiles has a little recognition for his troops out on the field.
Kickoff by Kofor. Stanford Jennings will take the touchback. 1st down at the 20. That's one of the reasons Kofor beat out Wershing, his strength of leg on kickoffs. Remember, he was kicking with the prevalent wind. The team that scored first has lost the last 4 Super Bowls, but overall in the previous 22, the team that has scored first has won 15 and lost 7. Remember, Denver last year jumped out 10-0. James Brooks gets his first call out to the 22 or 3-yard line. Short yardage as they ran in behind Brian Blados.
On the tackle, number 91, Larry Roberts.
Dick LeBeau, defensive coordinator for this Bengal team, talking to his troops about what they're going to have to do to shut down Walsh's offense.
We understand they're taking, did you listen to LeBeau, Tim Crumry by helicopter to the hospital. He suffered fractures to both bones of the lower leg, the tibia and fibula. Much like Tim Daggett's injury over in Rotterdam, the great U.S. gymnast. Ickey Woods picks up a 1st down across the 30 and takes the umpire with him. Jeff Fuller made the tackle, number 49.
San Francisco's defense doing a lot of jumping around just before the snap. And of course, one of the key players in this whole puzzle, Jeff Fuller, number 49. Look how he's running up just at the snap of the ball. Of course, taking away the pre-snap read by the offensive quarterback, Boomer Esiason, but didn't help much there as Ickey Woods found some room to run and picked up the 1st down. And Dick, one of the things that this Bengal offense has done, they've started quick in the playoffs. 35 of their 42 points in the playoffs in the 1st half.
Down to the final minute 35 of the 1st quarter. Woods again, his 5th carry. Oh, is he hit? What a pop by Ronnie Lott, the veteran from Southern California. Now there is a man who has made his living making tackles like that for 8 great years with the 49ers.
I tell you, you hear that kind of shot. Lott has knocked himself out a half a dozen times making that kind of tackle.
And he's giving over 30 pounds away on that hit. First time that the 49ers have stopped Ickey Woods. He had carried 4 times for 28 yards prior to that gain of only 1. Esiason on the roll. And incomplete. Jim Riggs, the tight end, the intended receiver. Nose tackle Michael Carter applying pressure. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
You're watching the 7th consecutive Super Bowl here on Channel 4.
To Joe Robbie Stadium, Super Bowl 23. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. San Francisco 49ers leading 3-0. Final seconds, 1st quarter. It is 3rd and 9. And a long 8, nearly 9 yards. Ronnie Lott slipping up to the line of scrimmage. Esiason down the middle, almost intercepted by Lott. He moved up to the line, and then when the snap was made, drifted back and almost picked it off.
Ronnie Lott is one of the smartest defensive players in the NFL. He plays that spy position so well. Just watching, he sneaks up inside. They think he's going to blitz. No, he's not. Dropping back, reading the quarterback. He knew exactly where that ball was going to go. What great anticipation from that Pro Bowl safety.
Lee Johnson to punt. Dangerous John Taylor at the other end. Great kick. John Taylor showing you the shiftiness of foot, clever spins, and almost worked his way free. Leo Barker, 53, made the tackle. 48-yard punt, 10 yards on the return.
Punt is 48 yards. First and 10, Cincinnati at the 30.
Piloting the airship for today's game is Captain Mike Fitzpatrick from Newport, Rhode Island. Looking down into this jewel box, Joe Robbie Stadium. 75,000 fans. Final seconds, first quarter. Montana to Rice. One-handed catch. Oh, my. Is he inbounds? Lewis Billups there, and Rice, a dazzling play. A first down at the 45-yard line.
Rice answering those people who were asking about his ankle. Bill Walsh held Rice out of practice 2 days earlier in this week. Injured ankle. Some said smokescreen. Well, perhaps so. Rice already an effective receiver, but he didn't catch that with his ankle. What a grab.
Brilliant player, drafted in the first round by the 49ers in '85. To this side it comes to Craig, eludes two men. And finally brought down by Fulcher at the Cincinnati 46. 8 more yards. And that probably the last play of this opening quarter. So 15 minutes have been played. And the 49ers, driving for more, have the early lead 3-0. Craig on the first play of the second quarter needed only 1.5 yards for a first down, gets more than that, and the 49ers have it now at the Cincinnati 41. Of course, the result of Crumrye's injury, as you look at his replacement David Grant, is that Montana has had time. You said earlier, Merlin, one of the keys to the game to take Montana out of his rhythm, and when Crumrye was in there that first series, they did that. Not since.
Not since. And the other thing that is really serious for you defensively, Montana has had all kinds of time to throw the football.
He throws deep. Rice is wide open. Out of bounds at the 11-yard line. David Fulcher was applying pressure. That left single coverage.
Man-to-man, when you blitz and you isolate on a great receiver like this with one person, you're just asking for this to happen. In patterns like this, I don't think anyone can cover Jerry Rice man-to-man.
Solomon Wilcox came over to save a touchdown. The ball is right on the 10-yard line. They have the full 10 to go. Rathman, he stopped after a 1-yard pickup. Reggie Williams has played a big first half thus far. Another tackle for the 3-time All-Ivy League star.
Bill Walsh would love to get out to a quick lead here, because he knows that this Bengal team is not a come-from-behind team. If you can get out there, get some quick points on them, build a lead early, they have not been able to come back from that during the season.
Ball on the 9-yard line, second down. They can conceivably make a first down without scoring a touchdown. Montana had John Frank angling from his tight end position, but under pressure could not find his receiver. It's third and a long 8.
10 upset about something. Bill Walsh calling those first 25 plays offensively off a script, a preset script. And what he'll use those plays to do is to evaluate the responses of the defense. How do they cover motion? What do they do in placement of personnel against these various formations? He files that information away and will use it later in the ball game.
4 wide receivers for San Francisco. And it's Rathman. What a call. They bring in 4 wide receivers and then just give it to the big fullback right up the middle. And it appeared for a moment he was on his way for 6, Rathman, who was finally stopped by 2 defensive backs, Orton and Fulcher. It's 4th down inside the 2. 4th down and a long yard for a first down. And less than 2 for a touchdown.
Bill Walsh apparently is going to go for it on 4th down here. Well,
in Super Bowl 19 in Pontiac, remember, it was a goal line defense by San Francisco in the 3rd quarter that may have decided the game. Now it's the Bengals' call.
So Walder.
Brain, he's an offensive brain, but when it comes to kicking, I think
down there, and they don't want to come away empty. So Kofor apparently is on for a field goal try, a short one of about 19 yards.
Sam Wyche had a call like that in a game against Seattle a few weeks ago. Elected to go for it on a 2nd or on a 4th and 2 yards. Said later that if he had known it was that far, he wouldn't have gone for it. Of course, that would have iced that game, and it later proved to be a point, although they did not get back into the ball game.
Kofor to kick. Pelton, the punter, is the holder. Oh, bad snap. And he misses to the left. The snap or the hold, confused. They weren't able to spot it, and Kofor hooks it wide to the left. Chuck Thomas, the snapper. And so now Walsh will have to second guess himself as he goes to the man who snapped the ball. They come away empty from the 2-yard line. So it remains 3-0. 2 minutes gone, 2nd quarter. Esiason to Brown, incomplete. Defensive play by Don Griffin from Middle Tennessee State, number 29. His brother played 3 years, James, with Cincinnati as a defensive back. Esiason's numbers were not good down the stretch after a brilliant start passing the ball and leading the NFL. How do you look at him throwing so far, Merlin?
He's had the ball pretty well on target, Dick. And it looks like he's throwing with pretty good velocity.
He's missed the last 5 in a row. Ickey Woods gains only a couple.
I think you've got to credit a lot of those misses to some fine defensive hits and some good defensive plays. On that last play, for example, there were just great coverage.
Michael Walder, 99, and Michael Carter, 95, collaborated on the tackle.
Walder coming off his best year ever, an impact player. In fact, Bill Walsh talking about his best 2 defensive players. Walder's name was 1 along with Michael Carter, but I'll tell you, Kazurski has done a fine job on Michael Carter so far in this ballgame.
The center, Bruce Kazurski, against Carter. That's a key matchup. 3rd down and long. Esiason to Brown, short of the first down. Ronnie Lott makes the hit at the 28-yard line.
Now, how can you end up short of the first down? You know what you got to get to pick up this first down. Esiason did his part. Eddie Brown not playing that one very smart.
Lott is just that, a lot of football player. Lee Johnson to punt. He's had a couple of good kicks. John Taylor at the 29 of San Francisco. Beautiful spiral up in that wind, floating away from Taylor. He picks it up dangerously and then breaks through the pack, and now he has an open field. 30, Taylor. It appeared he was making a mistake by picking up the ball that had floated away from him, and then he ran right through the Bengal team.
I think sometimes a player who has obviously done something that they know is going to bring the wrath of the coach down upon them, and I think that's what happens here. He misjudges this football. There's a surge of adrenaline through his body right at this moment, but he looked back. He knew he had a little time.
Not much.
So dangerous to reach down and grab that football. Very often that play backfires on you, but here it proves to be a big plus for San Francisco.
The 49ers leading 3-0 get a big return of 45 yards on a 63-yard punt, and then Harry Sidney falling on the ball back at the 44-yard line. Sidney a backup to Tom Rathman.
Dangerous play, Dick. That's a lateral. He throws this back out. It might have been a double pass, but Fulcher right there on top of it. As Sidney doesn't get down on that football, Fulcher is going to scoop it up, and that would be a big turnover for Cincinnati.
9-yard loss. 2nd and 19. Montana goes down at the 42. Jason Buck. David Grant also there, and Grant down around the ankles. Made a little move. They might have had a stunt on.
Well, if David Grant can grow into the big shoes left vacant when Tim Krumrie had to leave the field, that will be one of the big stories of this ball game. He did a good job of getting around the center on that one, and Randy Cross trying to scramble with him didn't do his job very well on that play.
3rd down and 21. Craig, 50, fumbles, and Cincinnati's Jim Scow recovers at the 41-yard line.
And you saw Sam White saying snake eyes. They'll come right out. They'll run the play without a huddle. He said, we stung them once, let's sting them again, and they'll have a play all set for this situation.
Craig with some brilliant high kicking running, that patented style of his, breaking into the open and trying perhaps for too much, and that was Fulcher who applied the hit. And Fulcher, the Pro Bowler, has had a big game. Chris Collinsworth, the veteran wide receiver who played down this part of the country, University of Florida, makes the catch out at the 47-yard line. So the first turnover of the game to Cincinnati. And at this point, just judging what we felt and seen, Merlin, the 49ers, you would figure would be up by a considerable score, but it's a 3-0 game.
Very dangerous to have so much opportunity and to only have 3 points on the board.
On 2nd and 4, James Brooks. First down at the San Francisco 42. Lott and Fuller, 2 safeties, make the stop. First down, Cincinnati. Brooks with a 10-yard pickup.
Pulling both the right guard and tackle, Munoz and Reimers, 78-75. Big hit over there by Munoz. And Brooks, if you give him room inside, one of the quickest backs in the NFL.
He still has happy feet. Who wouldn't be happy behind a guy like Munoz? Trailing 3-0. Esiason, good protection. Oh, throws into a crowd. McGee had 4 men on him. There were 4 red shirts within 3 yards of McGee, and Esiason drilled it in, lucky to be incomplete.
Look at the excellent protection by the offensive line here. Look at the amount of time he has back there. Nobody in the picture yet. Nobody there. Nobody there. Finally, Roberts, number 91, into the picture. But, Boomer, you get that much time, you've got to find somebody and get him the ball, my friend.
And he elected to throw to McGee, who was blanketed. 2nd and 10. Threw it away. He wanted Collinsworth on the out and up, but that isn't what developed. Larry Roberts did, number 91, and he was in the face of Esiason.
Just looking at McGee down there, you remember early in the ball game he took a hit on his knee, and I said he was lucky not to be hurt. I think he may have hurt that knee a little bit. There he is. He looks to be limping a little bit, and of course he's the fastest of those wide receivers, and a leg injury is very critical to the speed receiver.
Charles Haley and Danny Stubbs, who played at the University of Miami, a rookie picked in the second round by San Francisco, finally gets the sack. Larry Roberts was in there. Greg Cox, who comes in on the nickel package, and Esiason had no time.
49ers roll 6 defensive linemen in and out of the game. They always have fresh-legged, fast pass rushers in there, and Stubbs has come on as one of the best of them. He was there to take Esiason down.
Now Cincinnati again unable to move the ball deep enough for a score, and Johnson's kick. These are dangerous, and Taylor says, I'm going to fair catch at the 11-yard line. So timeout. Super Bowl 23 midway through the second quarter, and it's the 49ers leading by a field goal. And they start from just outside the 10 with Roger Craig, who is twisted down at the 12. David Fulcher again. He played at Arizona State. They call him the Rock, and at 6'3" and 228. That is a hunk of granite indeed in that secondary for the Bengals. Well, the second and third periods, if you're an AFC fan, you might as well go out and take a walk. Look at that, 116-6. The NFC has outscored the AFC in the last 4 games in the second and third periods. A little wide of Roger Craig is Montana, and there's no question, Merlin, the wind is affecting those passes to the sidelines.
They are fluttering. Esiason has been icing down his right hand, and of course that's not his throwing hand. He had a finger partially dislocated and damaged earlier in the playoffs, and they say that is not a problem now. There's David Fulcher. Boy, that's a big safety, I'll tell you that.
Montana dumps it off to Craig. And Craig has a first down, I believe. It's going to be very close. Barker and Bussey. Now let's see where they spotted. Boy, that's going to be a measurement. Right at the 20+, and that's where he had to go. What a weapon Craig is out of that backfield. As you mentioned so often, just a long handoff. Just get him someplace in the open, and with his running talent, let him go.
Part of Walsh's philosophy is to spread that defense with pass patterns and then get the ball to a running back. And of course, at that point, you've got everybody stretched out. You've got room to run.
And another 4 downs for the 49ers. That was a big play for Cincinnati's defense, a chance to force the 49ers to punt and get pretty good field position. But Montana to Craig, and that melody has been a happy one for San Francisco fans. Craig.
Fulcher, what a great play again. We keep mentioning his name. Boy, I tell you,
Goliath.
He is pumped up. At one point earlier in the season, they didn't want to put him on the scales. He was heavier than Jim Scow, the defensive end. He was over 245. Scow was under 245. There he is, 33. Middle of your screen on 33. And he gets him down.
You've got to be big and strong to get Craig, who has those powerful legs on those cutbacks. 2nd and 10. Montana and John Frank, the tight end, fighting off one tackle. Joe Kelly missed him, and a flag is down.
David Grant made a fine move inside on Randy Cross. Might have been Cross trying to save the sack on Montana.
You see backup quarterback Steve Young, number 8. Total offense, the best of the best. These are the top 2 teams in the NFL.
Number 51 offense, still second down.
Penalty was against Cross. You see Woods, his share of the pie for the Bengals. And now Craig. Look at that, 2,036 yards rushing and receiving for Craig. He has been so critical to San Francisco's success. At the University of Nebraska, Craig was a backup to Jarvis Redwine and Heisman winner Mike Rozier. 49ers knew about him. They picked him in the 2nd round. Oh, what a hit. Skip McClendon, who starred at Arizona State. He lost his starting job late in the year. Been in a passing situation. He's a light tackle. They say he's light at 275, if he's that.
He made a fine play there. And when someone goes down, when Tim Krumrie went down, you knew that players in that defense had to say to themselves, what are we going to do now? I've got to reach down and get something extra. McClendon did that on that play. Grant is doing it. This defense playing pretty heads-up football at this moment.
Montana with a screen to Craig. And a flag down as Craig goes down at the 13-yard line. 5 yards if. Jerry Seaman will sort out the call. Ricky Dixon was in on the tackle. Number 1 draft pick of Cincinnati. Against the 49ers, undoubtedly to be declined by Cincinnati.
Pass interference. Number 61 offense. Blocking downfield prior to the pass being thrown. Penalty decline. 4th down.
That's a tough call, and many times it isn't seen, that screen pass, and those blockers out in front just guessing when the ball is completed, and Sapullo was premature in his block. Cincinnati will get good field position. This kick, remember, into the wind, or at least the kicks going left to right in all the warm-ups were not traveling as far. Barry Helton from Colorado, a 4th-round draft pick. Ira Hillary, the deep man, Cincinnati, at the 45 in Bengal territory. Very high. And taken by Ray Horton. And Horton was a star punt returner at Washington. Returns to the San Francisco 43-yard line. Greg Cox made the tackle. 37-yard punt, 5 yards on the return. And there's the story with 4:04 remaining in the first half. It'll be 3D at the intermission. We hope you have your 3D class. Ickey Woods right into the pileup at the 41-yard line.
Dick, that's only Ickey Woods' 4th run of the day. And I really felt coming into this ball game that if the Bengals did not take advantage of their strongest offensive asset, that big offensive line, and Ickey Woods' strength as a runner, that's the 7th of the day. Okay, I must have looked at the first quarter stats. 7th run of the day, but he has not been the kind of factor so far in this ball game that I expected him to be. And I think they've got to start wearing down this San Francisco defense with that running game.
Meanwhile, Esiason is averaging only 3 yards a pass. Has a man open, McGee, and a first down at the 23. The deepest penetration of the half for Cincinnati. Ronnie Lott made the tackle, but for Boomer Esiason with that rocket arm, he didn't have much on it. All time, this is all time Hall of Famers Otto Graham, Sid Luckman, Norm Van Brocklin per attempt, and Boomer Esiason in his young career 4th with an 8+. That's per attempt, not per completion. Today, per completion prior to that last pass, averaging only 3 yards.
And you're absolutely right. There's a 4.3 now.
That includes that pass to McGee.
And that ball did not have great velocity on it. It's the strength of his arm that impressed us earlier in the year.
Little delay to Brooks. And he's to the 20-yard line. Well read by 75 Kevin Fagan, who cut down the blocker and helped Don Griffin to come up from the corner to make the stop. Fagan played here at Miami of Florida.
Quite a few players with extra incentives today. Fagan is one. He's coming home. Eddie Brown, another, coming home. A lot of stories on the field of players who want to play well. Fagan's the kind of guy that doesn't like coming off the field on pass plays. He said, I'd like to play all the downs, but he has been a run specialist.
Here's the 2-minute timeout. Super Bowl 23 has been defense. 3-0 San Francisco with 2 minutes to go. Of course, a pro football. That game played, of course, at the Orange Bowl here in Miami. 2nd and 7 for Esiason. Ickey Woods gets 4 to the 16-yard line. Bill Romanowski, the rookie from Illinois, number 53, made the tackle.
We talked about the matchup between Kazurski on the nose and Michael Carter. Watch what happens here as Kazurski takes Carter outside. Stop it there. Watch him now as he'll just push him beyond the play, and the cutback by Ickey Woods. Well, we'll go back